Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to make this girl gingerbread, which was designed by me. And this is the final version. This was the first version I made, and then I just have to fix a couple things, and I think she looks good now. Um, but yeah, so this is a mini girl gingerbread. I thought it'd be fun to make one to go with the mini dude gingerbread, so that way you have a pair. I just want to say, I know her head looks way bigger than his, but their heads are made exactly the same. I just overstuffed her head on accident, so she looks like she has a huge head, but they're actually around the same size, both of them. It's just her head looks bigger because I overstuffed it on accident. But yeah, so here's the design. This was my first design, like I said. I accidentally put an extra row on her head, and then I had to fix how we closed up with the skirt and everything, but I've fixed all that in final version. My little brother told me that her skirt looks weird and she kind of looks like a brown Christmas tree, but I think she looks good, and my sister told me she looks okay. Sometimes brothers just be like that, man. But yeah, so I think she's cute. And yeah. So compared to my big gingerbread, she is half the size, so she's super small. Difficulty wise, that might be the hardest part about this design, is just that she is a little smaller. And I know sometimes when you're a beginner, it's kind of hard to do things very tight, so that's probably the only hard part about this design because it's super easy. Band wise, I forgot to do the band count before filming, and I didn't really have time to, so if you want to know the band count, it should be in the description, but it's probably, I want to say, around probably 110-ish bands, 120, so not too bad. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this design. I'll link in the iCard for the do gingerbread tutorial, that way you can make a pair. He's going to be getting his pair today because I'm going to be using the same brown color, so that way he can have a friend. But yeah, I think this design is super cute. Yeah, mini gingerbread, so exciting. But yeah. See, these two could have been a pair. I accidentally overstuffed both their heads, and these two look like they have tiny little heads because I didn't overstuff them. But yeah. Yeah, not too much to say about this design, so I guess we'll get started. Like I already showed you, today I'm going to be using this brown color, which is like an off-brand band. I don't know what color this is, but we'll be using that brown color. You're going to need a hook for today's tutorial. I'm going to be using my double-ended hook. You don't need a double-ended hook. I'm just so used to using this hook. I always use it, but you only need one end, so you can just use whatever hook you want. And then we're going to need some stuffing and a C-clip to mark, or whatever you want to mark your rows. I always use a C-clip, so I'll be using that again today. And yeah, you just want to get whatever colors you want for your gingerbread. I usually do 2 colors for the buttons, and then you need 4 white bands for the, well actually for her you need a little bit more than 4 white bands because it's 4 white bands, and then you need about 3 bands for the skirt, so it's about 7 bands in total. And yeah, so I guess we'll get started. As always, the pattern is in the description, band count, all that, but we'll get started. And yeah, I'm just picking up some bands. So if you made the dude gingerbread already, this design is exactly the same at the start up until we get to the skirt. So the whole first part up until we increase every third is the exactly same. So basically, this whole first head bit, if you've already made the dude, it's exactly the same. Like I said, we make their heads exactly the same. So if you already made the dude gingerbreads, I probably have it marked in the pattern in the description as of like when it gets different. But it's pretty much almost the same. So if you already made the dude, this is going to be super easy. Okay. So to start, we're going to start by wrapping a band 3 times around our hook. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to pull a band through the cap band. Both ends back on our hook. Push the back one over the front one. And then after you do this, we're going to go back into the cap band. I forgot to say what we're doing. So we're basically doing a triple cap band with 4 stitches in it. And I'm just explaining it a little better in case anyone's confused. But we're doing a triple cap band with 4 stitches in it for everyone who already knows. So yeah, we'll be putting 4 stitches in this cap band. But once we go through the cap band again, you're going to pull a band through just the cap band. So not that last loop. Both ends back on your hook. Push the back one over the front one. And then you push the loop from last time over as well. And we're going to do that exact same thing 2 more times. So 1, and then 2, because we want 4 loops in this cap band, or 4 stitches. So once you have done 4 stitches, or if you're lost and forgot count, the way you're going to want to count is you're going to start by counting the one on your hook, and then you'll count the loops going backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. So once you've made sure you have 4 loops, instead of going back into the cap band, you're going to go into this first loop here. And you're going to do the same thing like you did in the cap band, so you'll pull it through just the loop. Both ends back on your hook, back one over the front one, and the loop from last time goes over as well. And we'll be putting our C-clip on this band. Like that. So that's it for the first part. For this next row, we're going to be increasing everything. So every single stitch we do is going to be an increase. And what an increase basically is we just put 2 stitches per loop until we get back to the C-clip. So, like I said, we'll be increasing everything. So what an increase is you just put 2 stitches in one loop. This loop already has 1, but because we're increasing everything, we're going to want to go back in and do another. Like that. And I'll show you again in the next loop. So you go to the next loop, you make 1 stitch, you go back in, do another stitch, and that's an increase. And we just keep doing this all the way around. So you go into through the loop. I feel like I can't speak. You do 1 stitch, you go back in to the same loop, do another stitch, and that's an increase. Like that. We just keep going until we get to the C-clip. And you'll probably get to the C-clip pretty quickly because this design is fairly small. But once you get to the C-clip, you're going to make a stitch on the band that has the C-clip on it. And you're going to move it up. Like that. So you just take the C-clip off that band and move it up onto the one on your hook. But now we're going to count around, so we should have 8 loops. So if you count, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a row of single stitches around this. So we're just going to be putting 1 stitch in each loop until we get to the C-clip. And at the end of this row, you should still be at 8 loops. And I'm just picking up bands. But yeah, you're just going to do 1 stitch in every loop until you get to the C-clip. So we're just doing single stitches all the way around, so you just do 1 stitch in each loop. And there's not much to explain here. We're just doing single stitches all the way around. I don't know why, but I always get so paranoid whenever I do small designs because I feel like I'm going fast, but I think it's just because I go around so quickly, like the rows end quickly, just because of how small it is, but I'm like, am I going too fast? Well, once you get to the band that has the C-clip on it, you're going to make a stitch on it, and then you'll take the C-clip off that band and move it up onto the one on your hook. Like that. So like I said, if you count around, you should still be at 8 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like that. So now, for the next row, we're going to be decreasing every third. So what that basically means is we're going to do 2 single stitches and then a decrease. So I'll show you. So this one will be our first single stitch, and then the next one will be our second single stitch. This is 1. The one with the C-clip on it will count as our first one. This is 2. And then the next one is going to be a decrease because we just did 2 single stitches. So 1, 2, and then we'll do a decrease. And what a decrease is you're going to want to grab the inside part of one loop, and then you'll get the back part of the next loop, and then you'll just make a stitch on these. So I'll show you that again. So we're going to do 2 single stitches, so 1, 2, and then we'll do a decrease. So you grab the inside part of one loop, back part of the next loop, make a stitch, and then you should be at the one that has a C-clip on it, so you'll just make a stitch on the band that has a C-clip on it, and you're going to move it up. Like that. So now if you count around, you should be at 6 loops. So we start by counting the one on our hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Like that. So for the next row, we are going to be increasing every third. So it's exactly like what we did this past row. So we do 2 single stitches, but this time instead of doing a decrease, we're going to do an increase. And yeah, I'm picking up bands again. Okay. So this will count as our first stitch again. So this is 1, 2. So after we do 2 single stitches, we're going to do our increase. So we'll put 2 stitches in the same loop because that's what an increase is. That. And then we'll just repeat. So you do 2 single stitches. So 1, 2. And then you'll do an increase. So we'll put 2 stitches in the one loop. And then you should be at the C-clip. So once again, you'll make a stitch on the band that has a C-clip on it. And then you'll move your C-clip up. Like that. So now if you count around, we should be at 8 loops again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like that. And right now is probably a good time to add a little bit of stuffing into the head so you don't overstuff it later, and it's just better to do it now. I always accidentally put too much stuffing in the head, so I'm trying not to. 'Cause you really don't need a lot. Just a tiny bit more. Okay, we're good. So now up to there is exactly the same as we did the boy gingerbread. If you made the other one, you probably noticed it was exactly the same. But here's where it gets a little bit different. So what we're going to be doing for this next row is we're going to be increasing some more. We're going to increase every 4th again. So we're going to do 3 single stitches, and then the 4th one will be an increase, is the way I like to think about it. But basically you do 3 single stitches and then an increase. So it's like the exact same thing we did last row, except for there's one more single stitch. So this is 1. So we're doing 3 single stitches, then increase. So we'll count the one with the C-clip on it as 1. So this is 1, 2, 3. So after you do 3 single stitches, you'll do your increase. So we'll increase. And we just keep doing this. So you'll do 3 single stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll do an increase. And then you're probably at the one with the C-clip on it. So once you get to the one with the C-clip on it, you'll make a stitch on the band that has the C-clip on it. And we'll move it up. Like that. So now if we count around, we should be at 10 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Always remember to start counting with the one on your hook, because I know I forgot to say that. But yeah. So for the next row, we're going to be increasing every 3rd again. So once again, we're going to do 2 single stitches and then an increase, 2 single stitches and an increase. So it's the same thing as we did 2 rows ago. But we're doing it again. And we're actually almost done with the body of the girl gingerbread already. These tiny gingerbreads come together so quickly. You could probably make so many of them. But yeah. So once again, we're increasing every 3rd, so we're going to do 2 single stitches and then an increase. So 1, this one will be 1, 2, and then we do an increase. And once again, we go 1, 2, and we do an increase. We just keep doing this all the way around. And then we're going to do 1, 2, and then we'll do an increase. And then once you get to the C-clip, you'll just make a single stitch on the band that has the C-clip on it and move it up. like that. So now if you count around, you should be at 13 loops. So we'll start by counting the one on our hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Like that. So this next row is going to be the last row of the main body. We're just going to do a row of single stitches all the way around. And then we'll do the legs, which is pretty easy. And I am picking up bands yet again. But yeah. So we're just going to do single stitches all the way around. And at the end of this row, we should still be at 13 loops. So you're just doing one stitch in every loop until you get to the C-clip. Yeah, I thought it was funny, my brother's criticism on my gingerbread. He laughed at one of the, because I tried to make her skirt bigger, because I was like, maybe it needs to be bigger, maybe that's the problem. And she looked like an umbrella, kinda, and my brother was like, just laughing at it, so he's been so supportive of this gingerbread, and that is complete sarcasm. He keeps criticizing him, but I think it's funny, so, you know, it's chill. Plus, that one that looked like an umbrella was pretty bad, so I get it. Once you get to the C-clip, you'll just make a stitch on the band that has the C-clip on it, and you'll move it up. So like I said, after that row you should still be at 13 loops. You can count around if you want. I'm not gonna. So let me get more bands. Okay, so I got some more bands. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to do the legs, and the legs are made a little bit weird, and it's a little bit harder than the do gingerbread, but basically we're going to be using 4 loops per leg. So I like to squish her flat like this, and you can kind of see that these 4 loops line up. So this one, the one next to it, and then these 2 across from it are going to be one leg. And then over here, you're going to have this loop, this loop, this loop, and this loop be the other leg. So we'll get started with this first one, but basically we're just going to want to stitch on these 4 loops. So this one, this one, this one, and this one. So we'll make a stitch on these 4, and you just keep like doing them like single stitches. It's just you're kind of making a small circle. Like that. So after you've stitched on those 4 loops, you just go back on this first loop with the C-clip on it. You'll make a stitch, and you'll move the C-clip up. So now we're going to do a row of single stitches around this. So we're just going to do single stitches all the way around this thing of 4 stitches. You can count around and make sure you have 4 stitches, but I know which loops I went into, so I didn't really count around, but you can count around if you want. And then once you get to the one that has a C-clip on it, you'll do a single stitch on that one. And then at this point, you can take the C-clip out. Because now we're just going to do a decrease and close, so you'll pick up a decrease. And then you'll just pull a band through everything on your hook, back one over the front one, and pull tight. And that's how you make a leg. So the legs come together pretty quickly, and I'll show you again for the other leg, because I know the legs can be a little confusing on this one. But it was like the best way I've found to make the legs. So, yeah. But you'll just hide the tail up in the gingerbread, and she has one leg. So now we're going to make the other leg, and let me pick up some more bands. But we're pretty much going to do the exact same thing again. And I'm just picking up bands. But it's taking me a second because these bands are kind of sticky. Okay, so now we're going to do the other leg. So it's pretty much the same thing. I'm trying to get my camera to focus. So if you have the one leg, and if you squish it flat, you can see that there's 4 loops right here that kind of line up. So that's where the other leg's going to go. So here, 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 and here. So we're just going to do single stitches on these 4 loops. So and you just turn and do it on the ones across. And then once you've done single stitches on those 4 loops in the little circle kind of thing. You're going to go in through the first loop, make a stitch, and then we'll put our C-clip on this one. And like I said, I forgot to count around last time, but if you count around, you should have 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we just do a single row around this, so just a row of single stitches all the way around. And once you get to the one with the C-clip, you'll make a stitch. And you can move the C-clip up, but I usually just take it out. And then you're going to pick up a decrease, so inside of one loop, back part of the next loop. Then you'll just pull a band through everything on your hook, back one over the front one, and pull tight. And that's how you make a leg. And you'll just hide your tail inside your leg. And into the gingerbread. Like that. And there we go. She has legs. So, I kind of forgot to stuff her, but it's not the biggest deal because there's still some holes on the bottom. So right now you're going to want to kind of just stuff her a little bit more. Because I forgot to put any stuffing in the dress, and I usually like the dress to have a little bit of stuffing, but not a lot. So I'm just going to put the tiny bits of stuffing in. We'll just stuff it. Need a little more stuffing. Like that. And now, just like with the gingerbread, we're basically just going to tie this closed. You can tie the ends closed, but I don't feel like it's necessary. So we usually just tie this middle bit closed by just going through a part of each and then just tying. I could find the other half of my band. There it is. And you just tie it shut. Like that. And then you'll just hide your tail into your creation. And I'm hiding the tail off camera because they're a pain to hide on camera. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There we go. And you can tie the ends of the skirts closed. I don't feel like I need to. I mean, they're fine. But you can tie them shut if you'd like. That's usually just how I close up my gingerbread. I'm just hiding the tails and fixing and squishing her legs a little bit off camera. But yeah, we're going to do the arms next. And then we'll kind of decorate her, I guess. But yeah, there we go. So we'll do the arms next. If you've made the gingerbread, the arms are done exactly the same way. So we're going to make a stitch 4 times into the side of the gingerbread right here and make a little circle. Then we do 1 row around it and then we close it up. So if you've made the gingerbread, you already know what we're doing, but I'll show you in just a second once I finish picking up bands. But we're going to come, and I'm going to put my arm about right here, so we'll just stitch in, and we're going to make we're going to stitch into the gingerbread 4 times, and we're going to make a little circle. So you just kind of go in a circle, stitching 4 times. And you can tell you've stitched in 4 times by counting, so you'll start by counting the one on your hook, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you'll go in through this first loop, make a stitch, put a C-clip on this one. I feel like I'm going fast, and I'm so sorry if I am. But it's just this goes so quickly because of how small it is. But yeah, then we're just going to do single stitches all the way around this. So we'll just do single stitches all the way around. And then once you get to the C-clip, you'll just make a stitch on the one that has a C-clip. And you can just take it out at this point. Because now we're just going to decrease everything until it's closed, which is basically just doing 1 decrease. So we're going to pick up that decrease. So inside part of 1 loop, back part of the next loop. Then we'll just pull the band through everything on our hook. Push the back one over the front one and pull tight. And we'll hide her tail. And we're just going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'll stay on camera and do it, but I'm not going to explain as intensely, but we're just going to do the exact same thing on the other side to make the other arm. And then we're almost done already. These gingerbread, literally, they come together so quickly. And they're so cute. Once again, we're going to do the exact same thing we did on this side. So we're going to stitch into a circle 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then once you've stitched in 4 times, you'll go in through the first loop, make a single stitch, and then put our C-clip on this one. Then we're going to do a row of single stitches all the way around this. And once you get to the one with the C-clip, you'll just do a single stitch. And then you'll just take your C-clip out. Then we'll pick up a decrease. Then we'll pull a band through everything on our hook. Okay, there we go. Pull the band through everything on our hook. Push the back one over the front one and pull tight. It broke. This one's just not cooperating. Hold up. Okay, so I finished tucking her, the tail from her arm in off camera just because it broke and I had to fix it. Like the band I used to tie it broke, so I had to just fix it. But yeah, there's pretty much our gingerbread main body. Hopefully, I think it looks cute. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these, all these white lines on, and basically to do the legs and the arms, you just take 4 white bands, and then you basically just wrap them around the arms. So you just like wrap them around once on all the arms and the legs. Pretty easy. Then she has icing on all of her arms and legs. So for the one on the bottom of the skirt, we have to do something a little bit different just because we have to go around longer, so you can't just put one band around the skirt, it won't look right. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect 3 bands together. So you'll set a band on your hook, then you'll pull a band through everything on your hook, then you'll put the back one over the front one. Put the back one over the front one and pull tight. So we'll do that again. So you'll pull a band through everything on your hook, back one over the front one and pull tight. And then we'll just tie this around at the bottom. So I usually just tie it around her. Then I find a spot. And I'll usually just tie it in. It's a little weird to do. Ooh, sorry, with the camera. It's a little weird to do, and I usually tie it in using the icing color, so it's a little less noticeable. But I usually just tie it in the back. Like that. And you can adjust these lines, so that way they're not too weird. Like that. Yeah. Then you just hide the tail. And you can just push them closer together, so that way they're not so far apart, like the lines. It looks a little weird in the back, but I'm not too worried about it because it's in the back. So yeah. Then you have your line in the front. That's on the bottom of her dress. It does look a little weird in the back, but it's not the worst. So, yep. So now what we're going to do is we're going to give her 2 buttons. So to do that, I just get some bands in the color I want her buttons to be. I wrap them 4 times around my hook, so 2, grab both of those loops, wrap them around again, so that way it's 4. And then you just pull a band through everything, like that. And then we'll just use this to tie into our gingerbread. So I'm going to come right here, just tie it in. Once again, we'll pull a band through the whole little cap band we made. We'll just tie it in. Like that. Then you'll just hide your tails. I think the thing that's the pain about this design is just hiding all the tails. I hate doing it on small creations because it always is a little harder than if it's a bigger creation. So, yeah, it's a bit of a pain. It's not too bad. And my buttons are kind of crooked on this guy. Nah, we're good. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is the bow. I always put bows like this in all my loom things, but basically what you want to do is you're going to want to get like 5 bands in whatever colors you want your bow to be. I'm doing red and green, obviously because Christmas. And you can stretch it across 2 pins, which I really recommend doing, but I always just do them on my fingers, so I'll just stretch the bands across 2 of my fingers. And then I'll get some white bands, and I can also do this just with my hands. And you're basically just going to wrap them around and then make a slip knot around and then pull tight. And then you can just carefully take it off your fingers, and that's how I make a bows usually. It's easier to do on 2 pegs, and you can use a hook to wrap the band around. But I always just do it on my fingers because I'm too lazy to, because I never really have a loom around. And yeah, like that. And then we'll have our bow. Then I'll usually just see where the cap band is up here. And I'll just pull. Oh my god. Why aren't you staying? You really want to pull the band that's in the middle. I usually use 2 bands too. You can use 1, but I use 2. You're going to want to pull it really tight so it doesn't loosen. But then you'll just pull your bow into the top of your gingerbread lady's hair or head. Like that. There we go. Now she has this really big bow. It kind of looks funny, but it kind of looks cute, so I think it's fine. And the very last thing we need to do is the face. So you can use, just like we did for the buttons, but you probably want to wrap those bands around your hook 5 times instead of 4, and just pull the band through, and you can use that to tie it in. But I have beads, so I'm just gonna thread my beads onto a band. I'm not really explaining what I'm doing, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I feel like at the end of this tutorial I kind of forgot to explain. At the same time I feel like I did explain. It's just a lot of tying. I can't get this string to go through. There we go. We'll just do this for both the eye beads. I'm gonna pause and do the other one because I'm having issues with the string. Okay, but once you got your eyes, you're just going to tie them in wherever you want on the face. I'm going to tie them in right here. So we'll just tie one in. And I don't recommend hiding the tails until you like where your eyes are, just because sometimes if you want to move them and you already hid the tail, it's a pain to go find the tail. So I just recommend tying them. Oh my god, these bands. Tying them both where you like them and then tucking the tails. These are not Rainbowloom bands, which is why they keep snapping, but I really like this color for a gingerbread, so I'll fix the other eye band after this tutorial, just because it's gonna take me a second to fix it, because I have to redo the whole eye. Okay, I'm gonna go pause and fix this eye, because it snapped. Okay, I fixed her eye. The very last thing I have to show you is how to do the cheeks, so you'll get 2 bands in whatever color you want the cheeks, then you'll come right under where the eye is. You pull it through, you push the back one over the front one, and you'll pull kind of tight, but not super tight. And then you just hide the tail. And that's how you do the cheeks. We'll do it again on the other side. So we'll come through right under where the eye is. pull the band through, back one over the front one, and then you just hide your tail. And you just pull it tight, but not like super tight, so it's just like just tight enough where it won't come undone. And there you go. And I usually glue the mouth on with a hot glue gun if you don't know, so I'll just put like a dot of glue, and then I'll cut a black band, and then I'll just set the mouth on it, and that's usually how I do the mouths, just because it's the most, like, it's the best way I've found to put mouths on loom things, because it's really hard to put the mouth on. Yeah. Yep. Anyways, I think that is it for this tutorial. I hope your gingerbread girl turned out okay. If you definitely make one or both of these guys, see, now I have the pair, and they look so cute, and they're perfect. If you make them, definitely show them to me on Instagram. I would love to see your gingerbread people pairs. Now I've got 3 pairs of gingerbread people. So yeah, so subscribe if you want to see more tutorials from me. There's definitely more tutorials coming, a few more Christmas designs if you're a Christmassy person. I just love gingerbreads. Maybe because my name is Ginger, that might be why, but yeah, so I hope your gingerbread turned out okay. My Instagram will be in the description if you want to see what Christmassy designs are coming, and yeah, I think that is it for this tutorial, so I will see you in the next one. Bye.